come on now, 9.4K, one day, brand new offer. Creator had never launched high ticket before. We took him from complete scratch to landing 3 high ticket clients, collecting 9.4K one day following launch today. I'm going to break down the entire process, start to finish, to full clarity. We're going to get into market research, system setup, offer creation, marketing plan, actual launch process, full sales process, all the metrics and numbers breakdown, how we onboarded his clients, and then how we're planning to grow this offer in the next month or two. So let's start with market research. Like I said, this creator never launched high ticket, never launched any info, and didn't think anyone would pay him for his information. So we took him from complete scratch, started from bare bones. Right when we onboarded him, we started out with a full onboarding call to get full context on his current situation, his background, his story, his transformation, everything that we needed to know in order to build out the correct marketing and sales assets. And so on this onboarding call, it's pretty much like a sit-down interview, sit-down podcast style. We're collecting all of the information, getting him to open up on things that he really hasn't thought about in years. We're going over his full transformation, the actual numerical results that he's gotten with his business, the outcome that he wants, and he knows that all of the people in his audience want, what makes him unique, what his new opportunity or his unique value proposition is, who his actual ideal client is, who are we serving with this offer, and the main fears, objections, obstacles that his ICP will be facing. We use all of this information in all of his sales, marketing, funnels, etc. So once we do that, we get a good baseline of his full journey, the outcome that he achieved and can then help his audience achieve. Once we have all of that, we kind of gauged his audience. We wanted to, figure out what is his audience, what does his market actually want. So we put out a story poll, just asking for people to help, people who like him, who know him, who want to work with him potentially. So we put out a story poll, just asking his audience, what do they want? Where are they now? How long have they been in the industry? What are they struggling with? What outcome do they want? What are their goals for the next few months, to get a really good idea of who the active people are in his audience and what outcome they actually want through working with the creator. And we got dozens of people that were just willing to help out, give information on their current situation. We captured their name, phone number, email as well for the people willing to provide it. We sent them to a private wait list, a private Telegram, and added them to our email list for launch sequence, all the email blasts we put out prior to actually launching. Once we have the information on the creator, his full story, we have information on the audience out of the people who are willing to help. We then do a full deep dive on pretty much every creator, every competitor in his niche that we know is making money. So I put together this whole swipe file of pretty much everyone that I'm 99% sure is bringing in several 5 figures a month. And I did a deep dive on their short form content, what's working, long form content, all their funnels, their copy, their offers, their sales process, what ads are working for them, and their offer structure. And I look at each of those and pick out the pieces that I think will apply well to this creator and his audience, specifically based on the feedback that we got. And you can call this professional pocket watching, you can call this copying, but in order to make educated guesses for this launch, we got to look at what's working already in his industry, in his niche. And so this is literally just free play we're working with, taking bits and pieces of what's working, iterating it for his offer, and his story specifically, to come out with an offer that we can make an educated guess will work for his audience based on what's working for other people in his niche. Now, once we have all of that information, all available information, available is the key word. We have all of the available information on his market, his niche, his audience, the people actually watching him already, and then we have all of the information that we can get on the creator. So we know him essentially as well as he knows himself. Based on all 3 of these things, we are making extremely educated guesses and assumptions that will help us form the ideal offer for a very specific part of his audience that we are targeting. The plan for this launch is not to sell to 100 people. It's to capture a very, very, very small portion of his audience so that we can work with them very in depth, get a lot of feedback, get a lot of research when we're actually working with them to build out a bigger offer that we can push to a broader audience, that we can push to cold traffic, etc. And so, like I said, this was his first time selling high ticket, so he didn't even want to take on a bunch of people until he knew he could actually get results for this small group of people. And the assumptions that we used based on all of this research was to target that very, very specific audience. So once we have our market research on the creator, on the audience, on the industry, we go and set up all the systems. And if you've run a high ticket offer before, if you have systems that work for you, this is just what works for me. This is the setup that I like, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but just to touch on the basics, self-explanatory. We're pushing on all socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. This creator had an older demographic, so Facebook is going to be especially useful. If you're marketing to, late teens, 18 to 20-year-olds who are brain rot scrolling on TikTok, Facebook might not be as useful. We use Typeform for our market feedback form, our waitlist form, and our application. The beautiful thing about Typeform is you can put logic into place that sends only the qualified people to book a call on their own. Setters can hit all of the people who claim to not be qualified. High level, CRM, pipeline management, all of our outbound SMS messages and dials from our setters are through Go High Level. We even put our email sequences through High Level, and we create all of our funnels, all of our landing pages through this as well. For our sales team, Discord, Slack, to toss up whatever you prefer. I personally prefer Discord. Sales calls taken on Google Meet. I personally prefer Fanbases as a payment processor. Whatever floats your boat in terms of payment processors. For actual service delivery, for initial cohorts, I like to give them direct access to the offer owner, the creator, give them their personal phone number, whatever they need. But School is great for actually hosting all of the content and the material that people are paying for. And Discord, I like their community feature, their chat feature a lot better than Discord because people can interact way more. Zapier is the glue holding all of these things together in terms of automation and integration. And then we're tracking everything, all of the metrics that we need to track through Google Sheets, Looker Studio, and Zaps are holding them together. So that's bare bones. That's the systems. Now we go into offer creation. 3 parts of offer creation that I break it down by our ideal customer, what's the outcome that ideal customer is looking for, and what is a reasonable timeline for that ideal customer to achieve that outcome in. With those 3 things, we build our offer statement, calling out our ICP, calling out their pain, and calling out their outcome that they are looking for. For our ideal customer, we went off the feedback that we got from that market feedback form. And so we had 171 views, 70 starts, 55 submissions. For this, we didn't require any questions to be answered, so the completion rate is technically 78%, but realistically around 20 to 30% of those were fully completed. But we learned everything that we need to make an educated guess on who's the ideal person to serve with this offer and what are their main pain points and things that we can help them solve. How long have they been in the space? What are the main things they're struggling with? What are their biggest goals over the next 3 to 6 months? What do they think they need? There's a big difference between what a certain demographic thinks they need in order to achieve a certain goal versus what we know or the creator knows that they need after actually doing that thing. Most of the time, what people think they need and what they actually need is 2 different things. So it's important to be aware of that in your messaging, in your marketing. And then a big thing is, have they ever sought help? For certain markets, for certain demographics, a lot of these people have sought help, whether they've bought shitty programs, whether they've invested into a variety of different things, but we want to understand why they have invested in themselves or why they have not invested in themselves. And so from this feedback, our market was broken into 3 ICP segments. Complete beginners. I'll just say this offer was centered around, let's say, personal branding. These were people who were in a certain industry and knew they needed to build a personal brand, but haven't. Intermediate was people that have been in the industry, they've started trying to build a personal brand, but they haven't. And then advanced is they're in the industry, they're currently building their personal brand, but they are just not where they want to be. And so with these 3 ICP segments, we're looking at all of the feedback, all of the research that we're doing, and we're trying to pick what is one type of person that we can go after with this initial launch to get proof of concept. Who is the most present? Who has the biggest pain points? Who do we feel like we can help the most? And we're essentially guessing. We're on a drawing board. We're trying to create an ideal customer based on the feedback that we've gotten. Think of it like someone at the police station. They're trying to describe the suspect to the police, and they're doing their best to draw the image based on the information they have so that they can catch the suspect. That's basically what we're doing here. We're making educated guesses for the launch to get proof of concept. So once we have the ICP, the exact avatar we're going after, we actually have to create the offer that's tailored to that avatar. And so we have ideal customer here. That's number 1. Now we have outcome and timeline. So we're trying to figure out how we can position this offer to get them from A to B with some sort of core promise. And I like to follow the format. We'll get you from A to B through XYZ, and that's the unique value proposition from the creator in his niche or industry in a certain timeline, or I will work with you for free until you do. I always like to incorporate some sort of risk reversal, especially when an offer is not proven yet, because people don't like to be first movers. People don't like to step into uncertainty. People are much more likely to convert if a bunch of people have done exactly what they're trying to do through the offer, through the program. And so especially with unproven offers, I like to incorporate some sort of risk reversal. Once we have the offer statement, we actually have to whip up the program deliverables. What is actually going to be given to these people in order to get them from A to B? And I worked very closely with the creator to put his ideas into writing and format these deliverables in an order that gives them a logical timeline from start to finish of how they're going to achieve the transformation from A to B, while also all the micro steps along the way, because you're not just going to jump from A to B in a week. Once we have the core promise, we have the offer statement, we have the deliverables, we need the early bird bonuses or action-based incentives. This gives people a reason to take action on the call to be the first mover, because they're going to get access to certain things that other people who join later, who invest later, are not going to get. And so this can be things like additional time with the offer owner or creator, additional resources that will make that transformation from A to B a lot easier, and some done with you deliverables. These people are going to get a lot more time and a lot more one-on-one help to actually implement the advice from the creator into their business. So with all of this, we are using the core promise, the deliverables, the offer statement, the action-based incentives to increase the perceived likelihood of achievement as much as we can and decrease the perceived risk as much as we can. When people think that they are extremely likely to succeed with very, very little risk, that's when they're going to take action. When perceived risk goes up, that's when people are less likely to take action. When perceived likelihood of achievement goes down, people are less likely to take action. So we want to maximize both of these things through our messaging, through our marketing, through our core promise. So once we actually created the offer, we needed to come up with a marketing plan. And so this is just going to be a general marketing plan, not specific to this creator, but understanding how our ICP thinks, what their core beliefs are, and how we're going to shift them through our marketing and our messaging. Some of you may be well aware of the belief chain and content funnel, but just to walk you through it, at the very top of the belief chain, these are going to be people who don't even realize that they have a problem. They have the problem, they just don't know yet. From there, we need to get people to realize that they have a problem, but they don't really know how to solve it. Once people realize they have a problem, we need to introduce them to the vehicle and make them solution aware. This is going to be the part of the process where people know they want to start a business. They can do this is just a general example, but people know they want to start a business. They can do e-com, FBA, trading, drop shipping. We need to convince them on our specific vehicle of building a personal brand compared to everything else that they could do, and throw rocks at all of these things. Why personal branding is better than e-com, Amazon, all these other options. Make them sold on our specific vehicle of personal branding. Once they're convinced that personal branding is the best thing to do in order to reach their goals, we need to convince them that our specific product, our specific method of building a personal brand is the best compared to all of the other options that you can do or purchase when looking to build a personal brand. We need to put our product as the only option in their head when it comes to building a personal brand, because realistically, there's unlimited amount of offer owners that they could turn to for this. Once they are convinced on building a personal brand to achieve their goals, once they're convinced on our specific product and method of building a personal brand, we need to take them from product aware to most aware, convinced on the vehicle, convinced on the product, and keyword ready to take action. And so the top of funnel of our kind of content funnel, it's going to be to capture attention and build awareness and get leads to know you. This is going to correlate with problem aware and problem unaware group of people. From there, we want to take them from top of funnel to middle of funnel, make them solution aware, convince them on personal brand as the vehicle that is the best method for them. And with our middle funnel content, we're going to build trust, we're going to sell the opportunity, and we're going to nurture their attention and build a rapport, make them feel like they're building a relationship with the creator. From there, we go from middle of funnel to bottom of funnel. And bottom of funnel is where we are going to take people from solution aware to product aware and then most aware. With our bottom of funnel content, we are going to convince our leads, our prospects, that this business model is the best and only option for them. This specific method within the business model is the best and only option for them. This creator is the only person that they should work with. And with this content, we're going to shift their beliefs from maybe I'll do it to I need this. We're going to build trust and make this the only logical solution. Just with one of our other clients, some good forms of bottom of funnel content are testimonial, social proof. Obviously, we didn't have that for this creator yet. Based on this, our challenges with this specific creator for this launch was we didn't have any middle of funnel content. We didn't have any bottom of funnel content. All of his content was top of funnel. So that was a huge obstacle we needed to overcome. He didn't have any social proof because, like I said, this was the first time he was ever actually opening up some sort of offer. And we were looking to get feedback quick, get data quick, so we can improve and iterate the offer to open it back up. So we literally had 5 days to build some sort of launch plan to take people from top of funnel and problem aware all the way to bottom of funnel, ready to take action. So what were the implications? This meant that we had to have a very, very targeted launch approach. We had to have a fast nurture process to shift the beliefs from problemware or solutionware all the way to most-aware in 5 days, which is typically, not the case. People go through this in, a couple week time frame, 30-day time frame. And based on this, we needed to be very, very specific with our messaging and who we were targeting. So we needed to speak to one avatar compared to all of the potential people we could call out within these 3 ICPs. And so based on these challenges, these implications, the best launch approach was something called a soap opera sequence, where we're taking people all the way from the beginning, we're setting the stage all the way to building urgency and getting them ready to take action. So on day 1, we're setting the stage, we're calling out the ICP, we're giving them a little insight into the creator, into his backstory. Day 2, we're building a super, super high amount of drama. We're giving them all the details, all of the pains, all of the struggles that the creator went through to get to where he is today. But we're leaving day 2 on a cliffhanger at the lowest of the low. And we leave it at this point because most of the leads, most of the prospects in this specific ICP are going to be right at that breaking point. They're going to be at a low point. They are going to be experiencing the same pains, the same struggles as the creator was at this low point. We leave them on a cliffhanger going into day 3, where he talks about the epiphany. What changed? Something specific changed in order for him to get to that low point to where he is today. And we introduce our unique mechanism. That is the specific value proposition that this creator uses, that he teaches, compared to all of the other people in his niche. And then we move on to day 4. What were all the hidden benefits? What were everything that he discovered once he started using this one thing, this unique mechanism? Introducing the offer, setting up the stage for the launch on day 5, building an insane amount of urgency and calling people to the actual application. So with this plan, our objectives were to 1, get people to know, like, and trust the creator in 4 to 5 days. Most of the leads already knew him and like him, but they might not have trusted him because they didn't know his full story. They didn't know exactly how he went from A to B. 2, we needed to take people from problem aware, which is where most of his top of funnel audience was, to product aware and most aware in 4 to 5 days. And we needed to build enough urgency around the opportunity to justify action. So since this was a personal branding offer, our, a big part of the external urgency, apart from the fact that we were only taking a few spots, was this was in December. The year's coming to an end, and since this is a personal brand offer, we took the angle that so many people are going to use the new year to start a personal brand. You need to start now before the masses start in January to fulfill their New Year's resolutions. You need to start beginning of December. With this offer, we're going to show you exactly what to do. So we had the internal urgency of only a certain amount of spots filled, and the external urgency of the year coming to an end and beating the masses, who are also going to try and do the same thing that they were planning to do. We used this approach across 3 different platforms: Stories, Telegram, which was the waitlist, and email. And time was not on our side. We had to condense the first 2 days of the launch sequence into 1 day, since we had to launch on a certain day, combine the first 2 days. So the first day, we set the stage, we called out the audience that we were going after, we built hype and announced the actual day of launch. We explained the creator's entire backstory, going from the beginning to an extremely low point, and we're calling out the core pains of this audience because at that low point, those pains, those problems, everything that he was facing at that point is exactly what our target audience is facing, at this current point in time. Second day, 2 days out from launch, we are painting the epiphany, the one key thing, and introducing the unique mechanism, the value prop that makes this creator, this offer, different from everything else in the niche, in the market that a lot of these leads have likely seen. We're bridging the gap between where they are now and the end goal with this unique mechanism, and positioning the creator and the offer as the only thing that can fill that gap between where they are now, where they want to be. And then we're calling out a waitlist, a quick 2-day waitlist to get the most high intent people off of Instagram into another platform that we can send them messages in. Day out from launch, we are visualizing the outcome, painting the picture of what happened after he really stuck to this unique mechanism, all of the hidden benefits, all the social proof, his numbers, his earnings, his stats, everything to position him as the go-to for this market. And we called out the first movers advantage, or the early bird bonuses that only the very first few people who jump on this will get. Like I said, most time with the creator, additional resources, done with you aspects of the offer. Then came to launch day. We built insane urgency, and this wasn't fake urgency or scarcity. This creator genuinely only wanted to work with a few people to prove he could get them results, and we could build case studies. We could improve the product based on this very in-depth work with a small group of people. If it's fake urgency, it's not going to work. People will sniff that out. We called out all of the pain points of this offer, reiterated everything that we had been going through the entire week, teased the benefits, went through some of the actual deliverables at a broad level for this offer, and called out the application, obviously. Then, on the day after launch, this was the day we collected all of our cash, continued with a lot of urgency, applauded action takers, people who have already taken action, to show people who are on the fence that a ton of people were taking action. That creates FOMO, that creates people want to follow the lead. We bridged the gap once again and did one more application CTA. And then the day after we collected all of the cash, we filled up the spots, and the creator had already hopped on some calls with the new clients. And so we posted a story of him actually on call, screen recording, creator with the new clients, shows people, wow, he's already working with these people. He's already setting up plans for them to build their brand to get from A to B that quickly within 24 hours. I can't believe I didn't jump on that. And so we're creating very quick wins and a bunch of FOMO built up so that people are ready for the next launch when we reopen the offer. And all of this strategy, all these concepts were applied to our Telegram sequence, as well as our email sequence, as well as our messages that were sent out once we got their phone number. So that was our launch at a high level, going through day by day. Next, we have our sales process for once a lead actually opts in, once a lead actually applies. And so since we were moving with extreme speed, we didn't have everything set up in terms of the actual offer until launch day. So usually we would dial people on the wait list and get them in with those early bird bonuses. Usually we want to have some spots filled by the actual launch day, but like I said, we're working against time here. And so we waited till actual launch day to start dialing these leads. Like I said, usually that's not the case, but at a broad view, our sales process, lead opts in, they're qualified or not, our setter still dials them regardless. If they don't answer, we'll text them, wait 6 hours, call them again. That process repeats 3 times. If they don't answer, we'll send them a email sequence for people who applied but did not book a call. Then, if they answer and they're qualified, they'll get booked on a call. If they're not qualified, we will send them resources and wait until they're qualified, nurture them until they're qualified, and get another sequence for people who might not have the budget at the moment. For people who are qualified and booked on a call, this is another client we work with, but this is the pre-call page that is super, super effective for boosting intent before people get on the calls, boosting show rate, and just boosting overall lead quality that's hopping onto these calls. We are outlining the exact process in terms of the logistical steps that they need to cover before they get on the call. We're pre-handling objections on a pre-call video here. We're walking them through the offer at a high level, getting them super excited to actually jump on this call and join. We're showing them that someone from the team is going to reach out. We're having them add the event to the actual calendar. This is going to let their actual calendar remind them as well of the time of their call. And then we put together a list of pre-call videos answering all of the frequently asked questions for people in this ICP on what the program is, all the objections that would come up on sales calls. And we're essentially pre-handling these objections so that people are primed and ready to pay once they jump on the sales call. If you have an offer, you're an offer owner, you're a creator, planning to launch an offer, whatever it may be, if you want my pre-call SOP where I walk you through everything that you need for this pre-call process in terms of landing page, logistics, everything that you need to get someone hyped up to get on the call and pre-handle their objections, just DM me on Instagram at FPMStefan. Happy to send that over. But once they are on the call, either closed or not closed, if they're not closed, it's one of 3 cases: no close, for whatever reason they didn't close, they're not convinced on offer, they're not qualified, it's not the right time. We'll send them a no-close email sequence, no show. We'll have the closer dial them and then send them the no-show email sequence. If they're convinced they just genuinely need some time, we will schedule a follow-up call for a certain time, send them a follow-up text, and then send them the no-close email sequence. If they're closed, they'll either PIF, payment plan, or deposit. PIF and payment plan, onboarding call scheduled. They're given access to all of the resources and everything that they get inside the program. Then if they deposit, they're not given access yet, but we schedule a follow-up meeting where they can make the rest of the minimum to get in, and we'll send them a deposit email sequence. So at a broad view, that's our sales process. So we're maximizing every lead that is applying, that is opting in. So for the actual metrics breakdown, this is the fun part, the data that we can analyze to improve the offer, improve the marketing, improve the sales process for when we relaunch. We had a total of 61 applications that brought us $9,400 in cash. 8K was collected on the day after launch. 1.4K was collected a month later for the person who did not pay in full. So we had 61 applications. This was people's first intent. 31% of those people were booked onto calls. And this number, in my opinion, is a little high, but we were being a little bit more lenient of who we were letting onto these calls just so we could get the feedback and the data on this ICP. But in a relaunch, we'll be a little more tight and qualify a bit more who we're letting on calls. This was just purely to get to know the audience a lot better and spend the time with them so we could get the data that we need for a relaunch, for an evergreen offer, for a cold traffic offer, whatever it may be. From those 19 calls that were booked, we had a 79% show rate, which resulted in 15 meetings, and our average cash per call was $533. From those 15 meetings, we had 20% of those close. And this had to do likely with the closing script, as well as the fact that we left a lot of these people who might not have been qualified. We let them get onto calls just to get the data and the feedback. Obviously, we want this closing percentage to be more 30 to 40% in an ideal world, if not above 50. But like I said, we let a lot of people onto the calls that may not have been the best fit, may not have been as qualified as we wanted. So with those 3 people, we cash collected $8K that day with an average order value of $2,600. And that's very close to the ticket price of $3K. And so that lets us know that for a relaunch, we can raise the price since people were, generally paying. Obviously, we want a little bit more data on that, but this is what that number is telling us. Here's all the proof. We had 3 payments come in that day, and you know damn well that exactly 1 month later, we got that second payment in from the third prospect, from the third close. That's a breakdown of the numbers. Now, for the onboarding process, a lot of people get this part mixed up. A lot of people don't have the best systems in place once they actually collect cash from these prospects. In onboarding, we want to make this as good of a process as we can for these leads. We want to make them as excited, as grateful, as hyped up as they can be based on the decision that they just made to pay you money. And so, according to ChatGPT, this is what the lead looks like after they have just been closed. I told him, make an image of someone who has never made a big purchase in their life. Just think about this. A lot of people have never made a purchase that big in their life. And so it's freaking scary. It is scary. And so they just got closed 5K. Questioning if they will succeed. They're unsure if they made the right decision. They might think that they act too impulsively. This is your prospect. This is what ChatGPT is saying your prospect looks like after they piv. And so in order to counteract this, we want to make them, like I said, as comfortable as possible and as excited to get rolling as possible. So we need to get them quick, easy wins, things that they can consume right away, wins that they can come across right away to confirm in their mind that they made the right decision and they actually put in the work to see results and implement whatever it is that you are teaching them. So 1, they need instant access to consumable material that they can hop off the closing call and get right into. They need an onboarding call scheduled on spot, especially if this is a newer offer where they're going to have much more access to the offer owner, to the creator. They should be taking onboarding calls with every single person. If not, then have a coach in the program take the onboarding call. They need communication from the offer owner, whether that's automated or personalized. They need instant communication from the offer owner, and there should be some sort of onboarding SOP in place. Introduce yourself, do X, Y, and Z, and fill out an onboarding form. This is key. This is like coming across a gold scar in the OG Fortnite days. This is gold. This is the exact person you want to target in your marketing, in your messaging, and you get free play to ask them any question that you could possibly want to ask them. And so if you're not taking advantage of this onboarding form and getting this direct data from the people you just closed, because these are the exact type of people you're going after, you're fried. You're completely fried if you're not taking advantage of these new people. So in this onboarding call, yes, you should get an idea of where they're at, what they need help with, how you can best be of value to them so you know how to apply what you're teaching to their specific situation. You need to ask them why they actually joined, what resonated with them in your content, what pushed you to, over the edge to actually get in contact with the offer, with the creator. Why did they join? Why did they pay you a lot of money? And so once you have that feedback, that data, you can use that exact reasoning, that exact feedback in your content, in your messaging, in your targeting, whatever it may be. But this is information from the exact type of person that you want in your program. It amazes me that some people do not take advantage of this. So this is a gold scar, but sales call recordings, that's an epic scar. It's a step down, but it's still sick. We want to take advantage of that as much as we can. So throw those sales recordings into AI, whatever it is you use, call it ChatGPT. and ask ChatGPT, ask AI, ask Claude to break down the sales call, whether it closed, whether it didn't close. What were the main pains, problems, goals, fears, desires of the prospect? We can use that in the marketing, in the messaging. Why did they not close? What can we improve next time, whether it's you closing or sales rep closer taking the calls? What were the core objections? We can then pre-handle those objections. If we're seeing a lot of the same objections across no closes, we can just put that back into the marketing and pre-handle those before they get on the call. Could those objections have been handled? Was this a lead issue or was this a closer issue? Did he do something wrong? What content can I make for this avatar? So based on all this, what are pieces of content that I can essentially make directly for them, call them out and pre-handle any objections that they have based on this feedback we have from the sales calls, from the onboarding form for people that we just closed. All right, home stretch. We have everything from complete scratch to collecting cash and onboarding these clients. Then we have a feedback loop. We have all the data from the launch process, from the sales process, from the actual sales calls. We revisit every single part of the marketing and the sales process and see what could have gone better. What can we iterate on? What can we improve for when we open the next cohort? Which metric would be easiest to double? From this, likely it's the closing percentage, and that's one, the actual closer ability, and two, the quality of leads that we're letting onto calls. We want to definitely get the close rate up the next launch step, the next time we open up the cohort. And so what we're going to do is we're going to analyze the data, the assumptions that we made when building out the offer, the logic, and make informed decisions to iterate and improve the messaging, the angle, the ICP. We might adjust the ICP that we're going after, tweak the avatar just a little bit based on all of this feedback. We could change the offer statement, the sales process, and improve the service delivery based on the feedback that we get from this very small group of people. So what is our plan? We collected around 10K. Now what's the plan to get this up to 30K a month in 30, 60 days time? One, we are going to go back and look at everything, like I just said, and make informed decisions based on the data. Two, we are going to implement a bunch of new content. Like I said, this was pretty much solely top of funnel content. We are going to implement middle of funnel content, convince people on why personal branding is the best route to go to achieve their goals. We're going to implement bottom of funnel content, talk about the actual offer, talk about the wins people are getting inside the offer. We'll tweak the launch process. This next cohort will have a much longer launch process, not 4 to 5 days, 12 to 14 days. And we'll tweak the actual onboarding process and the actual service delivery based on the feedback that we got from these people, from the small group of people that we're working with. So that was a handful. I'm pretty dead after putting this board together and going through it over the past, 30, 40 minutes. I can't see it on the camera, but I hope this was valuable. If you're an offer owner, whether your offer is existing, whether you've been thinking about starting and launching an offer, if you have a following, if you have a genuine skill that you can teach people, I genuinely hope this was helpful. And obviously, if you've been in the space, you know some of this information already, but hopefully there were small bits and pieces that you can take away and implement on your own to increase the amount of cash you're collecting each month. If you know you've been wanting help for a while and just want to break down certain parts of your offer or your full offer, feel free to just DM me on Instagram at FPMStefan, or you can use the calendar below to schedule a quick call. We'll hop on one-to-one and just break down your offer, do a little audit, see what can be tweaked, what can be improved so that you can, quickly collect some more cash each month. If you're still here, I genuinely hope you got some value out of it. Appreciate you sticking till the end. Drop me a follow on Instagram and let me know if there's anything I can help with, whether that's just chatting in the DMs or hopping on a quick call, like I said, to do a little audit. But that was it. 9.4K, 1 day, brand new offer, entire process. We'll see you when we relaunch this offer next time.